Hi guys, it's Lynn here. I hope everyone is having an amazing day. Now in this video I'm going to be showing you how you can remove the cactus pups from Echinopsis cactus plants. Now quite a few of these cacti plants do produce these little pups. As you can see here, this is one of my Echinopsis plants here, producing lots of little pups, and there's another big one there. And also other type of cacti also produce these pups as well. I'll just show you here. This is Raybutia, Sulco Raybutia, and other Raybutia here. Lots of little pups forming, and on these different types of cacti as well. Mammillaria, also multiple pup, as you can see here. But these type of cacti, the removal is different. You do need to use a sharp knife to cut them off. I'm going to include that into a different video. This video is just going to be removing Echinopsis cactus pups because it's a bit of a different method. This also is Matucana. See lots of little pups forming on here as well. And you can also use this method I'm going to explain now with Matucana, because these pups are easily removed just by twisting them and gently pulling them away. A bit different to these type of cacti. I'm going to include that in another video at a later date. I'm also going to show you other cacti that pup out readily as well. Say here, this is also Mammillaria, lots of pups there. But as I say, these don't come away easy unless you actually cut them at the base. I'm going to make a separate video on how to take cuttings of Mammillaria from their pups, and also other types of Mammillaria as well, so stay tuned for that video. These are Lophophora, these multiple pup like anything, as you can see here, but again this is totally different. Now with Lophophora I would not recommend removing the pups because they're very difficult to root when you cut the pups. They have tuberous root systems, so when you do cut the pups off and you try and root them, it's very, very hard. Some people do have success, but it's very hard to root them. So in this case, I just leave them to multiple pup because they're very difficult. But Echinopsis is much, much easier. And that's what I'm going to be focusing on in this video, Echinopsis. I'm going to show you two different examples. I've got a very old Echinopsis, a multiple-headed cactus plant I've had for many years. It's huge. I'm going to show you that one and also removing them from the smaller ones as well. Now what you're going to need is a pair of gloves, obviously, and with Echinopsis plants, although they're spiny, they're not full of glow kids or anything like that, like a puncher, which are these cacti here. So they're okay to use some good tough gloves where the spines aren't going to hurt your hands. And also if you want to use tweezers as well, that's also another good method, especially for very small pups like this. I'm not going to be using tweezers today because I'm going to be focusing on the larger ones. I'm just going to be using gloves, but you can use tweezers as well if you've got smaller pups you want to remove. Now I'm going to show you two different examples. The first one, this small one. And all you need to do is obviously make sure you've got some type of gloves or something to protect your hands. Gently hold it here, and you don't need to pull it off, you just gently twist. There you go, come off very, very easy. And a lot of these little pups already have roots attached, as you can see there. So these can more or less be potted up straight away. Now this is another example. This is my very, very old Echinopsis here, very multi-headed, absolutely beautiful. As you can see, there's tons and tons and tons of pups on this, and I do often pull them off, but I like to leave it all multi-headed. But I'm going to pull off another pup on this just to show you, and there's tons but I'm going to go for this one here, I think. And again, exactly the same, just gently twist, come off really easy, as you can see there. Again, tiny bit of a root there, but not much, but they root pretty good when they're planted up into cactus soil. So that's really all you need to do, is protect your hands and just twist it, and they come off very easy. And then you can do this with as many as you want to do. Now there's a lot of people say that when you leave the pups on, it prevents the flowering, and it's a bit of a myth, but I actually do believe that, because I noticed that when I remove a lot of pups off a lot of my Echinopsis, they're more readily to flower. But I know many people who have very multi-headed specimens like this, and they flower in tons and tons of beautiful blooms. And have to say, this particular one I've had for many, many years, and I got it from my friend John when I lived in Sligo on the west coast of Ireland, and he said he used to get tons of flowers on it every summer. But this has never flowered for me, which is strange because I have loads and loads of my other Echinopsis plants flower every year for me. But maybe it's because there is so many pups. I mean, it wasn't as many pups on it when he gave it to me. It's pupped out a lot since, but I still love it. I love with all the pups on it. I think it looks absolutely amazing. And he'd had this plant for 25 years. I've had this now possibly for about 12 years, possibly longer. So I can't even imagine how old it must be, but there's great age to it. So here we go, that's the pup, and I'm going to show you this one and the other one and how easy it is then just to pot them up. Now here we go, there's the two little different little Echinopsises, and I haven't got the correct ID of these. And this little one here is also another one that's no ID, but it has lovely little white flowers on it. So Echinopsis are a massive type of genus, and sometimes you can't really ID them even when they flower because there's so many hybrids. And I've got the two little pots here, and what you need to do is make sure that you use a very well draining soil. And I like to make my own soil mix of 3 equal parts of John Innes number 2, which is a loam based soil, but you can use any type of soil that is also a good quality. I don't like to use peat with cactus plants unless they're epiphytic cacti. I prefer to use a loam, which is LOAM, and then I also mix that with a bit of perlite or grit and horticultural sand. And sometimes I like to use pumice and lava rock as well. But with Echinopsis, they can take quite a lot of bit more moisture than some of the other desert cacti plants can. So in this case, I'm just using loam and sand and horticultural grit. And if you want to know what I use for these Echinopsis plants, then do check out a video I have made on how to make cactus and succulent soil in 3 easy steps. Links up above. And I also like to use a different, if I'm using other type of cacti like the Lophophoras and things like that, I like to use 4 equal parts of loam and pumice and grit and lava rock. But the most important thing is that it's very well draining and it dries out quick. Now I meant to mention that when you do remove the pups, if you notice that they're a little bit damp or anything like that where you've attached them, I would recommend probably leaving them unpotted for about 24 hours just to allow any of the tiny little cut parts or the roots when you do pull them away to dry. But in this case it's complete. I've twisted them off, it's completely clean, there's no moisture or anything there, fresh little roots, so these can be potted up straight away. And all you need to do here is just very gently press them in. Now this has already got roots, so this is going to be easy enough to pretty much carry on growing well with the roots. So you just want to make a little hole there and put that in, twist it around. I like to twist it and then gently tuck it in around there, and that's all you need to do with that. So easy to pot up. Now this one again hasn't really got any roots. It's just sort of got a tiny one there, but nothing much. So I want to bring that up to about there, and then this is going to start to form roots, tiny one there, over the next few weeks. And it's always the best time of year to really remove these Echinopsis cactus pups is always spring, summer, or early fall, autumn, because that's when they're actively growing. I wouldn't really recommend doing this in winter, but if you wanted to, you can do, as long as you sort of keep them a little bit more on the drier side, and you also have additional heat, ideally additional grow lights as well to get them to root. But I wouldn't personally be doing this in the winter because these plants like to sort of be pretty much dormant in the winter. It's much harder to root even these cactus pups during this time of year, so during the winter time I should say. And if they've already got roots, it's sort of a bit of a head start there. So all you need to do then, again, twist it in. There you go. Tuck it in like so. And that's all you need to do. Now obviously when it comes to the watering, as I say, if you're doing this in the winter, which I wouldn't recommend, then I'd probably keep them more on the dry side. But because this is still sort of late summer, early fall now, I can actually give these a little bit of a spray. And what I will be doing here is giving them a light spray, just enough to keep the top of the surface damp. As I say, this particular one hasn't really got any roots, so if I was to go heavy ahead and water that well, it could possibly rot. This one's got little roots, so I can give it a bit more of a good watering. and they will form roots over the coming weeks. I'm going to be putting these upstairs into the grow room and under the lights, which gives them good light as well. And that's really all you have to do. Very cute. And what you can do as well, now I live here in Ireland, in Northern Ireland, and we do have high humidity, so these can be absolutely fine as they are. I'm going to then put these now into the collection and treat them much like the other cacti, and then I'm going to keep them dry over the winter rest period. But if you're lucky enough to live in a lovely sunny, dry, arid climate, to encourage faster rooting, you can cover them a little bit like a mini greenhouse. You can put some type of cover, little glass cover over them as well, and that will help to keep the humidity in to encourage rooting. As I say, don't have to worry about humidity here in my climate, but if you do have a very arid climate, a little bit of humidity by covering them can help them to root as well, but I don't need to worry about that. And that's it. So I hope you found the video useful, guys, and stay tuned for future videos. If I don't get a chance to do it this year because it's late in the season, then it will probably be next spring now, on how to propagate mammillaria pups and also take cuttings of other type of cacti as well. And if you haven't done already, please do subscribe, and don't forget to click the notification bell. And if you want to know a little bit more on how to grow cacti and succulents, then do check out my website, desertplantsofavalon.com. I want to send you loads of love, heaps of happiness, and tons of cactus power from across the Emerald Isle. And until my next video, bye.